The sun dipped low over the rugged plains, casting gold across the dusty ranch. She stood at the gate, boots worn, hat tilted, her eyes fierce with resolve. "I'll sleep in the barn, just give me work," she said, voice steady but tired. The rancher, Apache, leaned against the fence, his gaze sharp, measuring her. The wind carried the scent of hay and distant rain, whispering of change. Apache's ranch sprawled wide, a patchwork of corrals and fields baked under the sky. She'd walked miles to get here, her pack light but her heart heavy. "Work's plenty," Apache said, voice low like gravel. "But you look half-starved." She stiffened, pride flaring. "I pull my weight." His eyes lingered, not unkindly, seeing the hunger she hid. He nodded toward the barn, a silent offer. The barn was weathered, its wood silvered by time. She dropped her pack inside, straw crunching underfoot. The air smelled of leather and horses. She'd slept in worse ditches, alleys, under bridges. Work meant survival, and she'd claw for it. Apache watched from the doorway shadow long. "You don't gotta prove nothin'," he said. She ignored him, already rolling up her sleeves for dawn. Morning broke sharp, the sky a bruise of purple and pink. She was up before the roosters, mucking stalls, hauling feed. Her hands blistered but didn't falter. Apache worked alongside, silent but watching. His hands were steady, roping calves with ease. "You're stubborn," he said, tossing her a canteen. She drank deep, wiping her mouth. "I'm alive," she shot back, eyes daring him to argue. Days blurred into a rhythm of sweat and dust. She fixed fences, herded cattle, learned the land's pulse. Apache taught her the tricks, how to read hoof prints, predict storms. His voice was calm, but his presence was fire, always near. She felt it, a pull she couldn't name. At night, she curled up in the barn, hay her bed, stars peeking through cracks. Sleep came hard, her past a shadow. Apache's cabin glowed warm across the yard. She saw him through the window, reading by lamplight. He was older, lines etched deep from sun and loss, but his eyes held stories. She wondered about them but kept her distance. Trust was a luxury she'd lost long ago. Still, his quiet respect never pushing, always watching chipped at her walls. The barn felt colder each night she stayed. One evening, a storm rolled in, thunder shaking the earth. She sat in the barn, rain drumming the roof. Apache appeared, soaked, his hat dripping. "Come inside," he said, not a question. She shook her head. "I'm fine," his jaw tightened. "You'll sleep next to me, not out here like a stray." Her heart tripped, but her voice stayed sharp. "I ain't your charity." He didn't budge. Reluctantly, she followed, boots squelching. The cabin was simple wood stove, worn table, a quilt on the bed. Apache tossed her a blanket. "Floor's yours," he said, pointing near the fire. She hesitated, pride warring with warmth. Finally, she sank down, the hearth's glow easing her bones. He sat across, silent, carving a piece of wood. The storm raged outside, but inside it was still. She woke to dawn creeping through the window, Apache already gone. The blanket was tucked around her, his doing. She frowned, unsettled by the gesture. Outside he was saddling horses, his movements sure. "Ride with me today," he called. She nodded, grabbing a bridle. The plain stretched endless, and for once she felt less like a ghost, tethered to something solid, if only for a moment. They rode to the high ridge, checking fences. The wind sang through the grass and she breathed deep, free for the first time in years. Apache pointed to a hawk circling above. "Like you," he said. "Wild, but looking for a place to land." She scoffed but felt the truth sting. He didn't push, just rode on. Her chest ached with something new hope, maybe, or something close. Back at the ranch, she worked harder, as if to outrun her thoughts. Apache matched her pace, their rhythm syncing like a dance. He told her of the land's history, of his people, his losses. She listened, guarding her own story. At night, she stayed in the cabin now, on the floor by the fire. Apache never crossed the line, but his presence was a steady weight, grounding her. One night, she spoke. "Ran from a bad deal," she said, staring at the flames. "Family's gone." "Kept moving since." Apache nodded, no judgment. "This land holds ghosts, too," he said. "But it's home." She looked at him, his face half lit, and felt the pull stronger. Not love, not yet, but trust, fragile and new. She slept deeper that night, the fire's crackle a quiet promise. Weeks passed, her hands tougher, her stride sure. The ranch felt like hers too. Apache taught her to track, to shoot clean. She laughed once, surprising them both. His smile was rare, but it warmed her more than the fire. The barn stood empty now. The cabin was home. She still slept by the hearth, but Apache's bed was close, his breathing a rhythm she knew by heart. A neighbor rode in one day, eyeing her with suspicion. "Who's she?" he asked Apache. "She's with me," he said, voice firm. Her chest tightened not from the words, but the way he said them, like a claim. She wasn't property, but she didn't correct him. The neighbor left, and Apache turned to her. "You're not alone anymore." She nodded, throat tight, unsure what to feel. Winter crept closer, the air sharp. She helped Apache ready the ranch, stacking hay, fixing leaks. Their hands brushed once, and she froze, heat rising. He didn't pull away, but didn't push either. "You decide what this is," he said later, voice low. She didn't answer, but the words stayed, heavy. That night, she lay awake, the space between her blanket and his bed shrinking. A calf went missing, and they rode out at dawn. Snow dusted the ground, the trail faint. She spotted tracks, earning Apache's nod. They found the calf, tangled in brush, and freed it together. Their eyes met, a spark in the cold. "You're good for this place," he said. She shrugged, but her heart swelled. The ride back was quiet, the air thick with unspoken things. Christmas came, a quiet affair. Apache gave her a carved horse, small but perfect. She stared, touched. "Made it for you," he said simply. She had nothing to give, but he didn't care. They shared coffee by the fire, the world outside frozen but warm within. She moved her blanket closer to his bed that night, not touching, but near. His breathing was steady, her anchor. Spring stirred, the land waking. She planted seeds with Apache, their hands in the soil. He spoke of his past war, loss, rebuilding. She shared more of hers, the words easier now. They laughed over a broken fence, mud on their faces. The pull between them grew, no longer just trust. She caught him watching her, his eyes soft. Her walls were crumbling, and she let them. One evening she cooked stew, her first try. It was edible, barely. Apache ate without complaint, a grin tugging his lips. "You're learning," he teased. She swatted his arm, laughing. The cabin felt alive, their voices weaving a new story. She didn't sleep by the fire that night. She climbed into his bed, heart pounding. He held her, nothing more, and it was enough. Summer blazed, the ranch thriving. She was no longer the stranger at the gate. The hands respected her, called her by name. Apache stood taller with her near, his pride quiet but clear. They worked as one, their bond unspoken but iron. She still carried scars, but they faded in the sun. The barn was a memory now, her place beside him certain, like the land itself. A trader came, offering her a job in town. Better pay, easier life. She looked at Apache, then the horizon. "I'm staying," she said, voice sure. The trader left, and Apache's hand found hers. "Good," he said, simple but heavy. They stood together, watching the sun sink. The ranch was theirs, not just his. She felt it in her bones, a belonging she'd never known. Nights grew long, stars brighter. They lay together now, no space between. He traced her scars, asking nothing, giving everything. She told him the last of her story, the pain spilling free. He listened, his arms her shelter. "You're home," he whispered. She believed it. The cabin, the ranch, him, they were hers. The past was a shadow, no longer her master. A storm hit, fiercer than before. They fought it together, saving cattle, securing the barn. Soaked and exhausted, they collapsed by the fire, laughing through chattering teeth. She kissed him, sudden and sure. He kissed back, fierce and gentle. The world outside roared, but they were untouchable. The cabin held them, a fortress of their own making, built on trust and time. The ranch grew, new hands hired. She led them with Apache, her voice as strong as his. They planned a new corral, dreaming bigger. Her past was a faint echo, drowned by the present. She wore the carved horse around her neck, a talisman. Apache's eyes still held stories, but now she was part of them. The land bound them, its roots deep in their shared days. One dawn, they rode to the ridge again. The hawk was back, soaring free. She leaned against Apache, his arm around her. "Told you," he said. "Wild but landed," she smiled, no scoff this time. The plains stretched below, alive with their work. She wasn't running anymore. This was her place, her fight, her home. His hand tightened on hers, a promise without words. Years later, the ranch was a legend, its story told in town. She and Apache were one, their names linked like the land and sky. The barn stood strong, a reminder of her start. She'd come seeking work, found a life. Kids ran through the fields now, theirs, adopted from broken places. She taught them to ride, to track, to laugh. Apache watched, his smile her son died at night. They sat by the fire, older now, but the spark remained. She leaned into him, his arm steady. The ranch hummed outside, alive with their legacy. "Worth it?" he asked, voice soft. She nodded, her hand on the carved horse. Every damn day. The stars shone through the window, the same ones she'd seen from the barn. Now they lit her home, her heart full beside him. The sun rose again, painting the plains gold. She stood at the gate, not a stranger anymore. Apache joined her, his hand finding hers. They didn't speak, didn't need to. The land stretched before them, theirs to tend, theirs to love. She'd come for work, stayed for him. The barn was empty, but the cabin was full. Together, they faced the day, their story written in dust and stars.